Hello and welcome to ICANN Media. I'm your host, Rob Hislop. We are at the Global Petroleum Show in Calgary, and now we're going to introduce you to a gentleman. His name is Richard Adamson with CMC Research Institute. Richard, thanks for joining us here on ICANN Media.
Pleased to be here. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your company.
Okay, CMC Research Institute started out as a funding group for academic-led research under the Federal Networks of Centers of Excellence program. So it was called Carbon Management Canada there, which tells the story a little bit better. What we really focus on is developing and advancing solutions for industrial greenhouse gas emissions. So where before we were really focusing on academic-led research, our mandate now is really how do we get the stuff off the lab bench and into the marketplace where it's going to actually do some good. So we have a number of institutes that focus on different areas. One institute out in British Columbia focuses on carbon capture and conversion. Today we're really featuring the Containment and Monitoring Institute that focuses on detection of movement of fluids in the subsurface, understanding what might be happening in terms of loss of containment events. Now by that we might mean if you're storing CO2 at depth and a small amount of CO2 leaks up, detecting it well before it gets to the surface and figuring out what to do about it. Detection of movements associated with hydraulic fracturing, for example, or cap rock integrity in oil sands to make sure that there isn't a breakthrough to the surface. So there's a wide range of types of applications, but essentially it's the same set of technologies that we're using for those.
So it sounds to me like you're working on a lot of the technologies that oil companies say that, like the new technologies that they've got in place. Obviously yours is newer than that, but they always talk about having this technology in place and how it can do what you're claiming the stuff you're testing can do, detect leaks, find things. Yet it seems like problems still arise out in the industry. How can what you're doing make a difference?
Well, I think the thing is that it's not that there are no ways of doing that are out there in the industry now, but there's always better ways. There's always ways to improve either sensitivity, early detection. What do you do about it when you detect something? So there's a lot of different ways we can move beyond what we're doing currently today. The other side of it is how do we get the costs down on some of these things so that we get good quality measurement that maybe instead of going there and doing it periodically, we can just leave instruments there all the time to monitor. So there's a range of different approaches here. What we really want to do is keep improving the industry best practices and getting new approaches out into the field that it'll do a better job, or to detect types of situations that are currently missed maybe by the existing technologies.
And what your group does also is test this equipment and gives companies a site to do the testing.
That's right. We have 3/4 of a section of land near Brooks that's our field research station. And that site is really kind of unique. It's unique worldwide in that we're attracting workers from around the world and technologies from around the world, especially Norway, the UK, the US right now, and France. But what's really, really good about it is normally if you have a technology that you want to test in a downhole environment, for example, and you go to a company that's running and operating well, you've got two challenges. First off, their concern is operating the well. So anything that interferes with that while you're running your tests is a problem. Any possibility that you might actually do something to damage the well is a huge problem. And there may be business confidential information about the site that they won't share with you or won't allow you to share if they do. What our space is essentially a playground that allows instrument developers to test things under real world operating conditions, but with complete transparency, with a lot of background data that they wouldn't normally have, and access to the facility because that's what it's there for. The primary purpose is development and advancement of the technologies. So we've got wells down to 300 meter depths and 500 meter depths, and that is what makes it unique worldwide. There are other research facilities in the world that are going very deep, but that intermediate geology is a really interesting zone where you're going to catch a lot of things well before it gets up to where it might interfere with the shallow aquifer, where the interfere with people's water, drinking water and that sort of thing. So what we want to be able to do is say, all right, down at 300 meters, spot it and figure out what to do with it so that it never gets anywhere close to the water table.
It sounds like your company can help bring products to the market a lot faster than people might be able to do under ordinary circumstances.
Well, that's a big part of what we're trying to do. A lot of the barriers to getting things into the market is also trust, essentially. So as an independent research group with a lot of credibility, leveraging deep discipline experts out of the universities and such, we can do performance verification in the field under real-world operating conditions and provide a report that a manufacturer can then take out to a prospective investor or to clients and say, look, it was used in the field under these conditions, this is what it did, and it's not our word on it, it's this independent, credible body. So the whole idea of being able to carry that trust the next level, maybe a little earlier attracting some investment to be able to finish the commercialization process, or maybe get that first customer on board, those kinds of things are really important.
Recognizing you have a vested interest because you are with the company, but how important do you think something like this could be in helping to change attitudes and the reputation of the oil industry here in Alberta, because there's so many negative campaigns against it? The work that you're doing, how can it be used to help change those attitudes?
Well, I think what's really important is there's an unfortunate level of skepticism right now. There's skepticism about governments because of potential vested interest. There's skepticism about the industry doing their own studies and publishing them because maybe they've got a spin on there, or maybe they omitted a few data points or something. By working with us and with the highly credible academics that work with us on these things, what we think we can do is provide an independent assessment of things. My job is not to move more technologies into the marketplace. My job is to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So I'm not really interested in seeing bogus technologies get out there. What I really want to see is the best possible technologies get put forward and best practices get elevated in the industry. So the alignment of interests that I have are primarily around getting the best solutions into the field that we can.
Richard, thank you so much for your time.
Okay, thank you very much.